Please welcome to the stage, Aaron Benjamin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back from lunch. Thank you for joining on time. My name is Aaron Benjamin. I'm part of the founding team and EMEA lead at the Direct Air Capture Coalition. And today, and the matter of the subject of the talk, is how to improve our tracking when it comes to tracking direct air capture deployments. So firstly, a big thank you. Thank you to the conference partners. Without you guys, today would have been a lot harder than it is. It's been pretty smooth so far, we hope so. Thank you to NYU as well for hosting. It's a great space. We hope you've all enjoy it. And yeah, thank you all for coming. So when it comes to existing projections, we get asked this quite a lot at the DAC Coalition. So how much DAC is being removed today? How much is going to be removed in 2030, 2050? And we tend to point people towards the IEA, who seem to have done a lot of good work around direct air capture and around existing projections. They have 2030 targets, as you can see in the top left, and they have 2050 targets too. And these ultimately give us milestones to look forward to, milestones to reach for. But there is a big problem, and that's when it comes to today and how much DAC we are removing today. We don't know. So this is what the EEA comes up with. And as you can see, 2024, supposedly 0.0 megatons. Now, we know that's not true. Mammoth came online. So that's 34,000 tons that we can add to the bank. But what I'm presenting today is a way of improving this and feeding better data into tracking DAC deployments. Now, the reason the IEA have had a tough time with this is ultimately that tracking DAC is very difficult. The projections that you saw on the last slide tend to be focused around the lofty ambitions of a few big companies, whether that's Climeworks, 1.5 Carbon Engineering have famously said that they want to build 100 megaton DAC plants by 2035. Now, for all of us in the room, we know that's a pretty tough undertaking and not necessarily an easy job. So whilst it's great to bake that into the early stages of development, ultimately we see high degrees of uncertainty and unpredictability with baking those in. So a couple of other reasons why tracking DAC is difficult. The timeline to FID, final investment decision, is also incredibly unpredictable. So whilst a company A might say that they want to build a megaton DAC project by 2030, this is tough, especially in today's fundraising environment. Number three, there's a very low awareness around small-scale facilities and small-scale deployments. And so tracking these with a low awareness is also very difficult. Construction timelines are minimized. Again, you may say that it will take you 2 years to build a megaton DAC project. That is premised on the back of a number of different things, really, but it's a lofty statement. And so baking in our projections and our existing projections off the back of these lofty ambitions is a risky thing to do. And the final thing is the nameplate capacity of the projections or of the projects that say they're going to deploy is rarely achieved in the first year. So whilst we might have Mammoth coming online at 30,000 plus tons per year, is that rarely achieved? Climeworks have been very open about the fact that this is an incredibly hard thing to do and that they rarely do achieve that nameplate capacity. But one of the things I'm focusing on today is the awareness of small-scale facilities. So why are we focusing on that? Now, small-scale deployments, they are not only important because they give you targeted areas for research and development once you get operational data in the field. They also help you lock in your supply chain partners for when you do plan to scale up. The confidence that your investors have once you've deployed goes up, increases with each incremental project you deploy. But you also intend to improve your market fit and understand the field conditions. So the final and most important point is that you receive all the learnings with each incremental project. Now, this has already been mentioned today about the importance of learning by doing, but the IEA over on the right-hand side here projected what this looks like in terms of CapEx. And BCG, Catherine mentioned in the earlier panel this morning, just about the difference and the savings you can get with the difference between a 15% learning rate and a 13% learning rate. So just for context, the graph on the left, if we have CapEx indexed to 1 on the left-hand side, we have different learning rates with the different colored lines. 10% is an analogy for LDAC, so liquid DAC, high temperature DAC. 15% is an analogy for solid DAC, solid sorbent DAC. And 20% learning, well, we've all got something to aim for, right? So we can see that the reductions in CapEx happen fastest in the early stages of deployment. So getting additional projects online in the early years is where we are going to see the most savings in terms of CapEx and the most learning. So getting these iterations going as fast as possible is of critical importance. That stat by BCG is pretty stark. A 2% learning, a 2% difference in learning rate can correspond to a 3 times increase in the capital required. So definitely something to strive for when we're looking at calculating the learning rates. So onto the map. This is the result of about 18 months worth of work. We partnered with Allied Offsets on this, who were also doing a lot of tracking work and helped us very much with the analysis. So a shout out to Anton, Soren, and Pranav there. Thank you very much. And this is what the map looks like today. If that decides to play, there should be a screen recording. If not, that's a shame. But yeah, I don't know, Kobe or anyone at AV, is it possible to play that? Anyway, I will talk us through, so it's a lovely map, I can promise you that. But underlying all this map is there's 1,700 data points underlying everything that goes into that map, and you can see that on the right-hand side. Currently now it's open access, so you can submit a request to get all the data behind this map. We are tracking things like CO2 end use, type of DAC approach, location, and that is the critical thing for inclusion on this map, is do you have a site? So we talked about 1.5's lofty ambitions. Here we go. Ultimately, 1.5, they have great ambitions with these 100 plants, but they don't have a site located for most of them, nor do we know where their CO2 end use is. So that kind of signifies a high degree of uncertainty. And the impact, so right here we have the crowdsourcing option. So we have the chance to submit data to this map. If you see something is wrong with your company or one of the projects, then you can submit to change. Right now, we can see this is Octavia's site in Kenya, and all the necessary information accompanying it. So to date, we've had, if we can switch back to the slide, that would be great. So today we have over 145 requests for this data, and ultimately what we want to try to gather information on is the impact this map is having. So we've seen, slide deck? Yeah, there we go, thank you. So we've seen that not only is the map drawing a lot of general interest, but it's also helping to feed into a lot of reports. Informing academic information is obviously a key one as well. But the stat on the bottom is really what we're looking for. So supporting policy decisions and supporting investment decisions, of which we've seen a combined of 17 requests for. So the type of analysis that we can make from this map, firstly, we can look at global capacity and how we are improving year on year. So as you can see, by the end of this year, we have 91 facilities online, with a total of around 574,000 tons being removed. And this is obviously, the lion's share of this is being done by Stratos, which is going to come online by the end of this year. So that's a 0.5 megaton plant based in Texas. And whilst we can sit here and we can tell ourselves how tough it all is, it's important to note that we're doing really well year on year. 811% growth year on year. And this is also backed up by 2023, where we saw around 600% growth. So the trajectory is looking fairly strong in the early days. We can also look at future capacity. So 2025 to 2027, we have an additional 50 facilities coming online in the next 2 years, with an additional 940, so close to a megaton of capacity coming online in the next year and a bit. And this includes significant projects like Stratos' 1.5, Heirlooms at Shreveport, Flair's Project Dawn in Canada, and AirHive's Project Carpenter, whose site is yet to be released, but we know it's going to be somewhere in Northern Europe. Additionally, we can look at geographical analysis. So where in the world are the projects being deployed? Naturally, the United States leading the way, although this might change in the coming years, who knows. Canada following closely, notably because of Deep Sky and the 12 test sites that they plan to have there. And then in third place, we have the Netherlands. And this is largely to do with Skytree and their many integrations into greenhouses there. But we can also look at wider regional capacity, so North America, Europe, and the rest of the world. Now, the final piece of analysis we can do is around the type of DAC that's coming online each year. So low temperature regeneration, admittedly, we've done this categorization quite crudely, but it helped a lot with the analysis. Low temperature regeneration, 52 plants are online with a total of 9% of the capture. High temperature regeneration, so this is things like carbon engineering and Heirloom. We're seeing 9 plants online, but with 90% of the total capture. And electrochemical regeneration, 15 plants with a total of 1% of the capture. But this is an interesting one around electrochemical, because new capacity coming online in the next couple of years, we see electrochemical regeneration growing from 1% of the total capture up to 9% of the total capture. So, and with the others unknown as well coming online, so this is things like electrochemical separation. So a very conservative estimate based on what we know. We see, and based on the data points from the map, we see around 5.5 megatons by 2032. This is hugely, hugely conservative, so a point to note there. Now, for the next slide, I'm just going to focus on this, given that electrochemical methods are a fairly new entrance into DAC, and for tracking their impact over the last couple of years, we see some real growth. We have Capture 6 coming online in late 2025. This is interesting because it's the first project in East Asia as well, Project Octopus. And the significance of this is the world's first fully integrated water management and recovery system using seawater desalination. That, at full scale, should have 0.5 megaton. Flair's Project Dawn in Canada should be coming online in 2027 with 20,000 tons of capacity. We saw Flair have a big offtake from Frontier recently, who very much supported this project. And then finally, Repair, who use electrochemical separation rather than the previous two, which is electrochemical regeneration, with Project Alea operational next year. And the integration of this is of strategic importance to the European Union, integrating it into Prinos's CCS hub as part of the Mediterranean Carbon Capture and Storage Strategic Plan. So electrochemical methods are really seeing a growth, and we're starting to see them scale really quickly. The other thing that the map does is highlight the project diversity. So we're seeing quite niche integrations in some aspects, but also we're really starting to get going on the utilization front as well. So for example, Mission Zero's DAC to SAF unit with the University of Sheffield was the first of a kind in the UK, validating and certifying the end-to-end production of SAFs in the UK. Skytree, like I've said, have got 6 or 7 integrations into greenhouses. This is of particular importance because this is an industry with razor-sharp margins, and we're seeing the adoption of DAC as strategic importance to the Netherlands as well. And finally, DACMA out of Germany have integrated their units onto a Power-to-X wind project on a transportable floating test bed to make e-fuels at sea. So some pretty crazy integrations, but it's great to see that the diversity and the different options that companies are playing with. Now, the map's not perfect, obviously. These are some of the issues that we came up against. The year one capacity that everyone likes to put onto their projects, their nameplate capacity, is rarely achieved. So this often leads to an overestimation of online capacity. Projects that are announced but with undisclosed locations means that we can't put them on the map. Yes, we can track them, but we can't put them on the map. Scale-up capacities, there is a high degree of uncertainty amongst these projects. Yes, you can say that you want to scale up 8-fold, but until you have the money to build that project, that's going to put that in jeopardy. And the inclusion of feed studies, we see this a lot in the US with the amount of federal funding available. So there are a lot of projects in feed study, but obviously this has a high degree of uncertainty as well around the operation date and also whether it's going to get built or not. So how we intend to evolve the map, we want to include sequestration sites and the different options there, project documents and community engagement plans. We saw with Octavia Carbon recently, they publicly released theirs, and as part of any federal funding in the US, you have to show your community engagement plan. And obviously improved map facilities, filters, so around DAC type and CO2 end usage, so you can improve the functionality there. So any comments, please do let us know. It's open for improvement. The data is there to be requested, and we'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you.